Now let's hope I don't screw this up. Three, two, one. Welcome to the Lightforge. This is ADWCTA.
This is Merps, and we have a returning guest who first appeared on the podcast 3 years ago. He appeared back then as the #1 EU leaderboard player on the very first leaderboards ever created. Yeah, it was a while ago. It was episode 84. And now he is reappearing as the BG God. We got 12 wins. Victor himself, thank you for coming on, man.
No problem. Hi guys, my name is Victor, also known as TwelvewinsHS Hearthstone on Twitch. How are you guys doing?
Yeah. So, all right, look, for those
Good to be here.
Yeah, thank you for coming on. All right. We know you have a very busy schedule. All right. Nice to see you during these quarantine times. You still got your hair, which is very important. Okay. We'll explain that in a little bit.
Saved.
Saved. Yeah. So for those of you guys who may only know Victor in his current state, which is BG Master, Khadgar Extraordinaire. All right. Victor used to be an expert arena player. You played a ton of arena, and the first time we had you on was because you were the #1 EU player on the very first arena leaderboards. Tell us a little bit about that, because I want to get the story of Victor. I want to get the part of Victor that a lot of people don't know yet. So let's start at the beginning. You spammed a ton of arena. What was that? What regrets do you have from that time?
That was more than 3 years ago. I was still young back then. I was in college. I don't really enjoy study that much, so I play Hearthstone a lot. And yeah, I tried to get on the leaderboard, and at that time there wasn't a leaderboard. I was just trying to be the best player. I hadn't tracked my average at that time, so I play like how many runs a day? 5 runs a day. And then after a year, Blizzard released a report, and they say Crip is the best player or something. But only thing I care about is that it shows me play the most game among all player. I'm the hardest grinder back then on Arena. And then after that, I got a first place on EU. The first month's leaderboard came out. That was one Abyssal Enforcer and the demons are pretty OP. I spent a lot of demons and hunters and got a title on the first leaderboard. Feels pretty good.
So demons are pretty correlated with your success. It's like when demons were dominant in the arena. Yeah,
demons my lucky charm.
The very brief moments whenever demons dominate.
Yeah, when demons rise, Victor rises with them. All right, he is like the physical embodiment of Jiraxis. Well, not exactly Jiraxis, because Jiraxis sucks. But something like that. Anyways, I wanted to get your story then, because I mean, look, Jiraxis is pretty cool. A lot of people like him. All right, he's also pretty jacked. I don't know if you noticed that. Anyways,
that's very different from me. I'm the opposite. Well, I'm like Fungomancer's body. Just like dude sitting, chilling. That's me.
Well, it's a good thing Fungomancer Forgo is really good,
I'm trying to get better at him. Yeah.
All right.
Right now, I'm not very good at him.
We can talk about that as well. But so talking about Arena for a second, you played tons and tons of Arena. You co-op with Shady Bunny as well. You guys got on the leaderboards together, and then you sort of disappeared for 2 years, right? Like, what? Tell us what happened during that time.
So after I graduated from University of San Diego, University of California, San Diego, whatever my school is called. I'm sorry.
So long ago.
And then I have to go back to China, right? And the Twitch is blocked in China. I tried to stream. I even got a business internet. I got a very good PC, trying to get it to work. But like streaming in China is just not doable. After I spent 8 months in China, and then after that I applied to the school here in LA, University of Southern California. I applied for grad school here and I got in. I didn't want to play games during grad school because I'm afraid that would mess up my GPA. So for 1.5 years, I just didn't play much games. And then I did do very well at school. I got a 4.0 GPA, graduated, and now all of a sudden I have a lot of time.
Oh
So
no.
I decided to pick up Hearthstone again. I started playing Arena, but I wasn't having so much fun, so I switched to Standard. I got pretty competitive. I was trying to get into this Arlington tournament that was hosted on January. So Blizzard says whoever got into top 12, I think it was top 12, in the who finished top 12, October and November, will get a free ticket to get in. I did get the top 6 myself, so I got in. I was ready, go to the tournament, and then right at this time, Battleground came out. And then just when I was like looking for content, looking for ladder content, I'm searching like on Twitch. I'm trying to learn from top players, but all the top players are switching to Battlegrounds, and I was like, what? I'm trying to get better at this game. Why is this game like dying? Why is no one's playing it anymore?
Why is everyone playing this silly beta
Yeah.
mode?
And then I tried this Battlegrounds thing. At the beginning, I hated it. Absolutely hated it.
All right,
It felt
wait.
like a RNG machine. Like
Mhm.
there's no fun about it. I cannot control my attacks. Too much RNG involved. I didn't realize the depth of the game like until 2 months later, basically 1.5 months later. I just got really bored. I was watching other streamer play this Battleground thing, and then eventually I got used to it. After I got used to it, I began to realize how much depth this game have. It's not all about RNG. Like how much it matters, the skill matters, the different composition building, the how efficient you can manage your turns, all matters in this game. It just brings me a lot of joy after I get used to it.
Yeah.
So I eventually decided that I'll play Battlegrounds and don't go to this Arlington tournament anymore.
Wow.
Yeah, it was pretty weird. It's most people, they started Battlegrounds on the first day it came out. It was hype. Not for me. It took me a while to get used to it.
That's pretty interesting. And you gave up like a pretty,
Mhm.
lucrative, exclusive opportunity. I wanted to go back to something you said, and ADWCTA, you had the same sentiment when Battlegrounds first came out. You played it, and you're just like, all right, well, this is kind of fun, but there's not enough depth. Like, this is
Yeah.
definitely capped, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Like, what were like? I want to dig in because you guys like sort of said the same thing, and I want to explore this because from the beginning I was like, oh wow, there's like tons of potential here, and it's super deep. And I'm curious like what you guys didn't see in it.
Well, I didn't see how much positioning mattered to different comps differently. Like I saw like a superficial layer of depth to that, but not much more than that. And I didn't see how much playing the lobby would matter, and how much like a particular hero being added, being changed, being whatever changes the whole entire shape of the game. So once that stuff being got picked up more, and I think in the beginning none of this stuff really matters because you're focused on like much more basic things like what is a comp, how do I make a good comp, do I roll here or do I tier up? But eventually when you get into the more like other elements, it feels more like you're playing a game rather than like solitaire with a lot of RNG.
Yeah, I think the first moment for a lot of players in which they realize um, how much there is to the game is when you recognize how much your moves can affect the entire lobby. Right, that was like the point that it clicked for me, where you might not seem or you might not think that like, oh, me, one player out of 8 players, and I don't face a lot of these players a ton. It's basically like a lot of people playing solitaire and then the occasional crisscross, and it's that point in which you recognize in some metas more than others that like you can actually put so much pressure on the entire lobby by what you do. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, that's like that Neo moment when he sees the Matrix. But that's cool. Like, so that is really interesting because Victor, I think for a lot of people, you would have just been like, oh yeah, I picked it up from the very beginning, and then I just started to dominate. So, what was the turning point for you? Because I think a lot of people just saw you in January of this year, like skyrocket. You overtook Katie for number one, and that was your big moment. Everyone was hype about it. But a lot of people don't know like your climb to get there. So when you started to take Battlegrounds a little bit seriously, was that your goal from the very beginning? And then how did you approach this like systematically?
I never started Battleground thinking that I would get number one. But when I started, I have this I hand track my progress, right?
Oh, of course you
can
did.
see-
Oh my god, you have that right here. This
Yeah, I have
is amazing.
this
An actual
this
notepad.
that I'm not gonna show every page, but this is just a sample page, right? This is when I was 8K MMR, 8,837.
Wow.
So I will track what hero I picked and what placement I get, and then my score. I will also write down stuff to encourage myself, like play slower in certain scenarios when I'm, unsure. Here, play a little faster, play well every turn.
Oh
And
my
now I'm like
god.
9,493 MMR. So I take it very seriously at the beginning. I wasn't streaming back then. I was watching a lot of the streams. I would just basically keep track of everything and then trying to self motivate into climbing. Just like, everyone in my chat, they're always happy that they get 1,000 more MMR, 500 more MMR, on a good day. I was just
Yeah.
like that, trying to go one step at a time, taking it slow and seriously. What was the question again? What was the breaking point for me?
Yeah, so I'm curious as to like, at some point, like you reach the top 100 and the top 50. So there's two questions to this kind of like, did you decide at some moment, it's like, I'm gunning for it. And then what got you there? Like, was it this like super secret tech for demon strategies? Like, so at what point did you think like it's within my reach, I'm going for it? And then what allowed you to get there?
Oh, that's much later. That's like 2 months in the game already when I started streaming already. So I started streaming, I think, when I was around 11K MMR. So the first meta I think I was streaming, it was like a Murloc meta.
Yeah,
It
and
was
at that point,
before the
11K
demon meta.
MMR was like already top, like, what was that, top 20?
Yeah, that meta is pretty hard to climb because everyone is doing the same thing basically, and you can't really get ahead of other people because the strategy is so simple and it's so similar.
Yeah.
Also the mech meta is similar too. It's like everyone fighting for Cabal Guardian, right? The difference maker for me, I was like 11 or 12K MMR at the time. I was in front, but I'm not at the top. But after the floating watcher came out and the floating watcher big demon strategy become a thing, and then I did a lot of research, on Twitch and also on other Chinese platform. I watch other Chinese streamers too. I began to notice that the demon's strategy doesn't need to level as much. You can just stay on tier 1 and, get all your stuff on tier 1 and then triple up to get that floating watcher. Just that one strategy itself, it gave me a lot of MMR, probably around 2,000 or so. And also Tyrion was really broken. I was really good at Tyrion. People think that strategy is very easy, which it was, but I was like the first one of the first people to discover it, so I was able to climb to the top with it.
I learned it from you.
The early game is pretty simple, but in the late game decision, the position still matters. Your tech card choices do matter. I don't think it's like absolutely brain dead strategy. It's just simpler than probably the strategy this meta. I wouldn't even say it's the demon strategy was easier than the Murloc. It's like pretty similar to Murloc and Max strategy. They're all pretty simple. But I find this meta right now very complex. And I'm happy that I can climb to 13K this meta as well to, prove my well-roundedness, if you say that.
Yeah. I definitely want to talk about this meta in a little bit, just because it's so. If I had to sum it up in one word, I think it would be expressive. Like there's so many ways to express yourself within the game. There's so much opportunity for you to play different comps to show off your play style, and a lot of different play styles can work, right? Meanwhile, in the Tyrion Demon meta, you can't do that. You can't do all these fancy plays that you can do now because people will just beat you up. The Tyrion will beat you up. The demons will beat you up, and you never get there. But it was pretty cool, and I always think of this parallel, like what we talked about before, in which like you're the kind of person, you know, you obviously work hard as you show from your notebook, but you also like just figure things out, like sort of you are ahead of the meta a little bit. Like even if you weren't the first person to figure it out, like in the arena, you figured out it's like, oh, obviously a lot of people play warlocks. I'm gonna be good with warlocks, but I'm also gonna be good with hunters because like you know they counter warlocks, and if I'm not picking warlock, I have hunters as this really good backup. And here, when you rose to number one, you also like figure this out. Is this sort of a skill that you just sort of picked up, or is this also like from you digging hard? Like when I'm not streaming, when I'm not playing, I'm like searching for these strategies, searching for that edge.
Uh, I would say it's me digging pretty hard. Also, I have the advantage, the language advantage, because I'm Chinese, right? I can watch a
Oh,
Chinese stream. I can read, the message on Chinese Reddit platform, also on Twitch and American Reddit. So I get a lot of source of information, and I also put a lot of hours into experimenting those strategies that I learned from the paper, the book, whatever. What after I learn, I do like need to sacrifice some MMR here and then to to try new things.
yeah.
Everything counts. It's not about just playing. It's not about just watching others and learning from others. Some people they think if I watch Victor or watch Grinning Gold every stream, I
Merp
can be a
streams, not
13K player as well, but that's not true. You have to actually, put your own thoughts into it. You have to create your own play style. You have to, adapt others' wisdom and then put it into your own playbook. So I think that's what it takes to be the better player, maybe the best player.
So
of
you
the world.
mentioned the Chinese meta and the Chinese Reddits. How different usually is what's going on the China servers and the top players than what's going on over here in NA or EU?
yeah.
Because the China population is pretty large and there are more competitive people there and they don't care about fairness that much. For example, like on the China server, people are spamming Brian Khadgar a lot, trying to get a double Holy Macro with a full Divine Shield Murlocs, trying to just take it down with, some special tactics. I'll say the China server, they discover more advanced strategy and they get better at a meta a little faster just because there are more people doing stuff, and with more people doing stuff, there's always like that one or two person that will get a meta first and they will come out to share it. And yeah.
So in China, like they've actually hard forced the meta to be Brand Khadgar like tokens. Like they've sort of made it that, because over
It's
here
a
it's
big
definitely
trend.
yeah.
It's a big
Like
trend because a lot of the streamers in China do it because they look really cool on stream. And it is a strategy that take a lot of practice, and it is very complex. It's hard to do within the time frame that each turn the game gives you. But they practice a lot. They do a lot on stream. They attract the audience, So when people look at them and they want to do it too, so it just become a very popular strategy. And in this strategy, it does create some unfairness, I would say. There are also people using special software for disconnecting faster or making the game animation faster. So I'm personally not a big fan of this strategy, but I have to get good at it because I want to be competitive myself. So yeah, I've been practicing this strategy a fair bit.
yeah.
Not having too much success with it, usually just donating MMR But it is probably one of the strongest strategy available. Not to everybody, but to those who are really confident in their APM and really want to just win and grind instead of playing interactive Hearthstone.
I mean, it's crazy. Like I've done it a few times, and you know, like a very few number of times on stream, and it's insane. Like I've watched a lot of your stream. I watched a lot of Dog. You know, he likes doing it a lot as well. I would say, you know, you two are two of the people that like actively go for it more than other streamers, right? And even if we break down your Brand Khadgar plays and break down Dog's Brand Khadgar plays. You know, if we had like 20 minutes to rewind and watch an entire turn, we can point out so many quote mistakes, right? Because there's just like small suboptimal things, but because it's like every second you have to like click a bazillion times, I'm just like, wow, this is one of those frontiers and battlegrounds in which even top players such as yourself, such as Dog, who do it a lot as well. You know, if we were to break it down, it's like there would still be a lot of, you know, small micro mistakes every single turn. And those micro mistakes, like they're the difference between you getting the Divine Shield Poison on your macros and not getting your Divine Shield Poison on macros, right?
I don't think it's a lot of mistakes. It's about your predicted
Yeah,
outcomes a
yeah,
lot
yeah.
of times, because you're getting like 8 to 10 discovers a turn. It's hard to pick the perfect choice. It's pretty easy to be result oriented, say, oh, I should have picked that. But on the fly, you only have 60 seconds left, or maybe 30 seconds left. And you have to just do the best you can and to just pick, because it's not humanly possible to, you know, find 10 triples. Like that's gonna cost 70 seconds usually. And then you have 30 seconds left. It's basically not possible, you know, to pick the every single best discovers out of those 10 discovers and have a perfect comp every time. It has a lot of risk involved in it, both in your APM, in your decision making, and also just the RNG itself. So it's a highly risky way to play the game, but it is viable if you practice enough. You'll get better and better at it. But
Yeah.
maybe Khadgar will get nerfed. Maybe I don't need to practice. I don't know. This is really strange because it's getting out of control in China. Maybe Blizzard will pay attention to this and give this strategy a nerf because it's highly interactive.
That's
I
true.
just don't know right
Yeah.
now. I'm just really confused if I should put the time and effort in the strategy or not.
You should put the time and effort into playing Flurgle because he's definitely not getting removed anytime soon.
Oh yeah.
I feel.
I agree with that. That's why I practiced some Flurgle on stream yesterday,
I saw
but
that.
ended up top 8. Hopefully today will be better.
He's still
Today's
like the
another day.
second worst hero on HS Replay for the top 20 percentile of HS Replay players.
Oh, it's definitely because of me. I've been dragging the average down.
I've been helping drag that average down the last couple days.
I feel a little bit bad because I've just been spreading the gospel and I've been preaching this to you, preaching this to Collins. Dog saw my tweet and on his stream, he was like, I need to watch Merps' VODs because apparently he's been doing well. And I feel a little bit guilty because like Dog got top 7, you got top 8. But I'm definitely not alone here, right? Like I know that Wobble Weezy, he really believes in Flurgle. Sir
He's also
Salty,
good with it. Mm-hmm.
yeah, Sir Salty, like obviously a very good player as well. He also believes in it, and I think that's super interesting thing about BGs. There's still a frontier where there's extraordinarily good players who played a ton, were very high MMR, like you and Collins. But like so a lot of people see you guys as sort of like, oh, you guys know everything, and there's still stuff that like maybe no one knows yet. Maybe Galakrond is the best here, probably not, but like who knows? Like who knows, right? There's still so much to figure out. There's still so much to learn. That's definitely something that you embrace. Like I'm gonna say this, and I think all of us will understand it immediately. Like Victor, you are your own Asian parent. You know what I mean? Like,
I'm pretty harsh on myself. Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's something that fuels you. It's something that's like really, really interesting. But I want to talk about like you as the streamer now, right? Like Victor, the personality, Victor, the person who like came from out of nowhere to have a stream just as big, if not bigger than a lot of these veteran Hearthstone personalities. So first of all, congrats on all the success. Was this
Thank you
something?
very much. I need to keep going, keep at it.
Okay, well, first of all, like
Mhm.
you also need to sleep and maybe not only drink energy drinks, but that's just my opinion. We can differ on this, okay? Was this
I
something that
drink
you?
a lot of coffee now. I've become much more healthier.
Okay,
Yes.
that's not
Yeah, so
exactly
much
what
more
I had
healthy
in
than energy
mind.
drinks. It's-
I only drink coffee now. Energy drink, I put it aside for now because it hurt my throat.
yes.
There's
Okay,
acid in energy drink, hurt my throat. I can't be talking 10 hours a day and then drink energy drink. I feel
yeah, I
it's
felt like
too much tax on my body.
every time you like picked up a Khadgar, you'd be like, "All right, energy drink time," and you picked up a lot of Khadgars.
That's true. That's very true.
I know you, Victor. I've seen you. I watch you. Okay. No, but like, all right. When you think battlegrounds right now, you are one of the premier streamers. You stream a ton. People love watching you. Is this something you aimed for? Like, is this streamer success something that you aimed for?
It is definitely something I aim for, but it's not about the money. It's about, finding people who are also passionate about the game and have a good time and, get better at this game together. I really look at my view counts, I always look at chat. Um, I like people who, talk about the game a lot. I don't like trolls, I take the game very seriously. Sometimes, I attract a lot of trolls
Oh,
because
yeah.
I kind of have a funny face and I do a lot of, funny moves. But yeah, in my heart, I'm very serious about the game. I'm very passionate. Like, I feel like this game is a big deal for me. Of course, it's also a great opportunity. Right now, the stream is looking good. If I can keep going like this, definitely this will be my full-time job for a longer time period. Um, yeah, I also have a very strict expectation of myself. I care about my MMR, my results, probably a lot more than other people.
Mhm.
And I don't know if that's a good thing. Sometimes because of that, I get tilted, I get mad at chat, or sometimes I ignore chat. I'm still trying to find this fine balance on how focused do I want to be on the result and how focused do I want to be interacting with chat. Because this game is very energy demanding, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's
Yep.
impossible to be like a just chatting streamer while playing Battlegrounds. It's just not possible. So that fine balance is where I'm trying to get to. Also, I need a better, just like Merp says, I need a healthier sleeping schedule, a healthier eating and drinking schedule. That's the goal for myself right now. It's not about I have a goal for a subscriber count, viewer
Mhm.
count, none for that. It's just me getting better every day, improving my gameplay, improving my lifestyle, and have something positive for chat for everyone who's liking the stream.
Yeah,
All
that's
I
right.
so
think that's
important to
me.
do
Yeah.
like the self-care stuff, especially when you're streaming for so long and you're taking it so intensely. It's so easy to be like, oh, I'm on my computer, I just do things, and then when I'm done, I go to sleep and I wake up and I do this. But it wears on your body.
Battleground is very different from arena. Because
Yeah.
arena you have
Yeah.
plenty of
Uh
time
huh.
every turn, and in the drafting phase you have infinite time on your pick, so you can chat with viewer a lot of for a long time. But Battlegrounds is very strict.
Yep.
You're 1 second too late for your turn. I'm sorry, you're probably out of the game top 8.
Oh,
Yeah.
Like
trust me, I
every
know that very well. The
every
number of
decision,
times,
every single second like matter in Battleground,
yeah,
which makes streaming it a lot tougher.
the number of
And
times in
streaming
which
long time is also very hard for Battlegrounds because every game is so different. Trying to control Like what we're trying to do is to control the RNG into our favor, right? But to control RNG, you have to know all the possibilities.
Mhm.
To keep all the possibilities in your head within that short time period. It is very tough. But we all do our best, right?
We do.
Yep.
We do.
Yep. I can't do it for more than 3 hours. I realize that's my limit. I have three
Yeah,
good
it's
hours
tough.
of Battlegrounds, and then if I don't switch to something else, I know I'm going to be playing significantly subpar if I keep playing. That's my personal like amount of attention span that I can and energy that I have.
Yeah. So, Victor, I'm going to ask you a very self-reflective question, and then I will answer it as to like sort of what my opinion is. Why do you
Interesting.
think? Yeah, very interesting. I know this is where the spicy part. We soften you up and then we hit you with the hard questions. But we
Where were
got
you
you
on the
now.
night of September 14th?
Yeah, exactly. No, so Victor, look, you have a very successful stream. Lots of people tune in, no matter what the time is, including me. Why do you think you have been so successful as a streamer, not just the battlegrounds part? Because we have some BG players who do very well, but who don't have a loyal and large viewership such as you. So, what do you think makes people want to watch Victor?
And I want to give this some context for people out there who are listening to this podcast and not necessarily huge
Yes.
Twitch viewers.
Yes.
I realized Victor came back to stream, I think, sometime in January when, like, towards the end of my stream, I'm like, yeah, let's host somebody. Whoa, Victor's on. I haven't seen this guy in, like years. Like, what is going on? And I hosted him. I think you had, like, a few hundred, maybe, like, almost 1,000 viewers at the time. I was like, wow, he's doing really well. And then the next week I tune in, and I'm like, whoa, Victor has 3,000 viewers right now. What's happening? Yep. Like, it was a very quick meteoric rise of viewership, at least from like the times that I caught you in the early going. So this blew up.
Yeah. So Victor, what?
I'm quite surprised of myself too. So at the beginning, I'm asking my viewers, "Hey, are you guys anyone view botting me? Like, what is going on? And if you are doing it, please stop." And I realized there's like 1,000 views on my VOD now, so probably it's not the view bot is probably not watching my VOD. So I have to rethink that. Maybe it's not a view botting. Let me think. What is? I think Battlegrounds just have a larger audience compared to Standard and Arena right now.
It does.
Yeah. When I was streaming Arena, I get 300 viewer max. Yeah, I grinded Arena for a long time, right? Probably streamed like 2 years Arena. The best I could do was like 300 to 500. No more than 500. Even with host. Yeah. Pretty much.
I remember you back then, just in your room grinding out arena after arena after arena.
Yeah.
You were still the same Victor. So for those people who might be like, oh, he talks more now. No, Victor has always been Victor. Like what you
see,
like,
Victor has not grown as a streaming personality in the last 2 years.
You definitely talk to chat more. Well, because of the game format, right? You always talked. Now you talk more about your thoughts on the turn. Like, okay,
true.
Yep. So we roll. Okay, so we count the gold, and this is why I'm doing this. But yeah, so I will tell you sort of my opinion on this because I think it's interesting. I think analyzing like Twitch and streaming, it's just a fun thing to do. I think part of what has made you so successful is like your authenticity, right? And this is something that drives a lot of success. It's like people look at a stream and they're just like, okay, is this person someone that I think is authentic, someone I know I can watch? It's like, you were talking about before. It's like, you're like, oh, maybe I shouldn't care as much, but you do care that much. And then sometimes you get really angry at chat, but people love that. Yeah.
I'm getting rid of that habit now. I began to realize even the people, being toxic in my chat, when you come to watch me, you like me. If you likes me, well, I get mad at him, right? I don't flame chat anymore. I come to this realization. It helps me a lot. And hopefully that can shed some light on other streamers too. They come to your chat, they like you. They don't come to your chat if they don't like you. At least that's what I like to believe now.
Yeah, it helps you out mentally, right? But past that authenticity, I think you do such a good job of doing these little things that connect viewers with you. And, from establishing this sort of Illuminati conspiracy theory of like the open rice cooker versus the closed rice cooker to your hair challenge. Let's talk about the hair challenge because that was actually a huge deal. And you just completed it. By the way, there was a reason, like, I wanted you on the podcast for a while, but I did not dare message you
Oh, you
before.
want me to come into the podcast bald? That's why you waited so long. Too bad I still have hair. So basically, I made a bet with a pretty toxic person in chat. I don't even remember that guy's ID anymore. That guy basically came to my chat and say, "Hey Victor, you're washed up. You got your 13k MMR and you're just sitting with it. You cannot get 13k anymore. You got 13k because you're spamming demon." And then I was like, "No, I'm gonna get 13k again on my Smurf account. You just sit there and watch, all right? I'll make you a bet. If I don't get to 13k within, the 10 days, I was only 11k.2, I think.
Because you
Yeah, I
just
was like
finished.
very 2,000 points away from 13k.
Yeah.
That was the show called it a bold statement. That means because I made that statement, I'm probably going bald, right?
Yep.
I didn't care. I made the bold statement. I'm getting to 13k or I'm shaving it. And I got super, super stressed during those 10 days. I care about my results a lot. Yeah, I got super stressed those 10 days. And some days I don't even sleep for more than 4 hours. I play for around 18 hours sometime. 10-hour on stream and 8-hour
Yeah.
off stream, usually like that. But eventually I got it the day before the deadline. And I'm quite happy to prove myself that, I'm well-rounded enough that I'm not only good in one meta, I can do it on other meta too. You guys keep on saying I'm successful streamer. I don't think I'm there yet, I would say I'm above average right now. I still have a lot of things I can improve on. My MMR is not the highest, My schedule is not the most consistent.
There's that Asian parent again.
It's like, what? You're only the 0.001 percentile? Why are there not 2 more zeros in front of that?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, I do try my best to I take the game very seriously, but I do realize not everyone who watch you take the game that seriously, because if they do, they will all be on your level, right? You'll see only the top leaderboard players in your chat if you only do that. So I try my best to make things entertaining. I try to celebrate a lot when I get a lucky draw, get a lucky fight. I tend to overreact a little bit when I get unlucky. Learn that from a very famous streamer. He's having success with being salty. So I'm just trying to find what works for me that is entertaining, trying to adapt from what is previously successful and combine that with what I already have myself.
Yeah,
That's my method.
I think people like that about you. And when you created this challenge, like, part of it, I think, was for you personally. You wanted to show not just other people, but you wanted to show yourself, right? It's like, oh yeah, of course I got this. Like, how dare you guys question this? And you made it extraordinarily interesting because 2 days before the challenge was over, you were so close. You were 12
Almost 30 points. 30 points from 13k.
12.2 like 70 or something.
Yeah.
12,000 to I can't even do numbers right now. Oh my gosh. But you were 30 points away, and then you dropped almost 1,000, right? I think you dropped 800 points, and people were saying it was over. Like, they called it over. People are like, it is over. People were in my chat. They were like, it's so
I thought
sad.
it was over too. I told my girlfriend, go buy a razor right now before it's too late. I literally gave her the money. I gave her my credit card. Go buy a razor right now for me. Thank you. I need to grind right now. I cannot go with you. I'm still hoping that 1% chance I'll make it, but please buy a razor. That's what I said to her.
This is the perfect setup. This is like Rocky, you know, when he's down and then it's like all in slow motion, right? And he's thinking of like all of his training, everything, and it's looking really grim. But then he gets back up, and what happens? Like, dude, never count Victor out, okay? That's the thing. And then you just within it wasn't even 2 days, it was one day. Within one day, you got all of those points
It
back.
was within 12 hours, yeah.
Yeah.
Within
yeah.
12 hours, I climbed from 12 to 13 again.
Jeez. Holy cow.
I just feel like super motivated for a second. I was like, why I cannot do this? I will just get top 1 in every lobby for 15 times. I can do this.
Just get top 1.
And I did it somehow.
I mean, honestly, I've seen you in
some high rolling, of course.
I've seen you in exactly 2 lobbies in my history.
Rewarded.
Yeah,
All
and
my
both of the
experience,
lobbies
you know.
I've seen you in, you were first. Well, once I got second. I don't know if you
Well, that was
remember
because
this.
you were in those lobbies.
It definitely helped. but yeah, I've seen Victor so far in 2 of the lobbies. But both times he was first. Once I was second. Once I was like 4th or 5th or something. It's very, it's a very high percentage.
A crazy roller coaster. I'm sorry, ADWCTA took your.
Oh no, I just rolled over and died. It was not like, I might have had a chance if that wasn't Victor. It was like, oh no, you took the high roll spot without necessarily like having to high roll. I feel like it was just very consistent.
Yep.
I was high rolling on that day for sure. Sure. I realized that I was very lucky to get it back. There were like, out of those 15 first place, I would say about half of them are high rolls, and about half of them are, above average rolls, but I managed them pretty well. So 50% luck, 50% skill on that day for me.
It's luck meets opportunity, right? So anyways, congrats on keeping your hair. What's next for Victor the streamer? Like, do you have any goals? Do you have any challenges, or are you just gonna keep on being the strict parent?
The new goal is to not allowed to go to a barber or cut my hair in any way until I get 14K.
Ooh.
So we always go to the extremes, right? It's either nothing or everything. So this time it's everything. I'm risking everything to get to 14K, right? So if I don't get to 14K, I have to choose either a mullet or a fro head.
Or you could go. I mean, look, you've seen.
We can have a straw poll on that if I don't make it, before next month, because my hairstyle is gonna drastically change. Maybe people will begin to think I'm a female.
No.
2 months later.
You know what? I'm not even kidding. I'm like imagining you right now with like not like long hair, but like shoulder, like a little below shoulder, a little like above, I guess, shoulder length hair. Like a few months in, like I think you look pretty good, man.
Dude,
like I would consider it.
If you got a mullet, you with a mullet and your leather jacket, that's badass. All right, you are appealing to an even larger category of Twitch viewers. I say you should just go for it.
They're gonna think I'm copying Dr. Disrespect, maybe. I need a sunglass too.
You need the sunglasses.
I can't grow a mustache. The Asian doesn't grow enough hair here.
Yeah, well, you can also go the route, and in those like wushu films, like the guy with the long hair and like the martial arts like masters with the long hair. That could be you too.
Honestly, I hate long hair. I hope I don't have to do it. Why don't you guys just believe me? I'll get to 14K. I'll get there.
I believe you, Victor, but I believe you will get to 14K. But I'm also hoping that suddenly your hair starts growing at an astronomical pace, so that you reach 14K. But we also can get to see you with those luscious long locks.
That's interesting.
All right, so look, we've talked about you a lot, which is the point of like what I want to do. But we also
why you so focused on me?
Oh, you are the guest of honor, okay?
I feel too honored.
Too honored. Well, look, we're happy to have you on, okay?
But again, seriously, it's a huge honor to be on the show again. I really appreciate that you guys invited me.
Oh, thank you.
Like 3 years ago, I always get nervous. This morning I wake up, I'm like, holy shit, I better brush my hair. Usually I come on stream, I don't brush my hair, I don't wash my face. Today I went to the restroom very fast. I only had 10 minutes, because last night I slept very late. I was doing some battleground homework, right? I slept very late, but I set like 10 alarm clocks this morning. And then right after I wake up, I didn't eat any food, didn't drink anything. Went to the restroom, make sure that I look good with you guys. I'm still a little nervous right now. You can hear my voice cracking up.
No, that's just puberty. It's fine. It's fine. We'll get that settled later on. But no, we do have to talk a little bit about battleground strategy. Okay, I'm sorry, Victor. I'm very sorry. This is something I know you're very excited to talk about. Okay?
I'm excited to talk about it. Yeah.
All right. So look, I'm just gonna cut right to it. I'm gonna ask you the question that 50% of your chat asks you every single time that you stream, which is, "Hey, Victor, love your stream. I'm stuck at 5K, 7K, 9K MMR. How do I get better?" Period. No other details.
The way I do it is that I first find. So you want to create a hero pool for yourself. You don't want to pick every hero. There's like 30 heroes out there. You can't be best at all of them. You have to create a hero tier list for yourself. And the best way to do that is probably like maybe go to Hearthstone replay, or just find what you're comfortable with and write them down in order. Okay. If I get Yogg-Saron, I will always pick Yogg-Saron. I'm gonna start with Yogg-Saron. And then if I see Nos Dormal, I always pick Nos. Find its easy heroes first if you're like 5K or 6K. This is how I did it. If you wander around, you pick all the heroes, you're not gonna success because every hero have a different playstyle. Until you get that specific playstyle that fits that hero, you're not gonna success with that hero. So first, pick your hero wisely. And second, start using, I don't know if I should say this, but some people have very good graphic memory, but most people don't. Use a deck tracker, trying to see what your opponent have. The deck tracker will remind you if you should play around a cleave or a divine shield taunt. It will help you a lot in a final four fight. Like knowing your opponent's composition will help you a lot in the final fights. Also, keep on checking your opponent, their pacing of the game, trying to see how many win streak that top player have, how many triples this player have. Because before you battle opponent, you have to make your decision based on how strong your opponent is, right? Against a weak opponent, the guy have 0 win streak, 0 triple, is YOLO leveling. What do you want to do? You want to level against him. Against opponent who is a tryhard, he's on tier 4, he's going max, he have 3 triples already. What do you want to do against him? You want to, play for tempo to take the least damage. You always want to make your play according to your opponent status. What else? What other things are important? Let me just think 1 second. If you guys have something, you can say it first.
So you can keep on thinking. ADWCTA, I want to ask you a question, because I think the first point that Victor brought up is very much in line with your playstyle, right? He was like, pick your heroes, prioritize them, and you are definitely one of those people that you like, I'll say, heroes that might not be in the exact order that HS Replay ranks them. Right?
Yeah, when Victor said Yogg and Nas, I'm like, yes, those are the exact two like top level heroes. The HS Replay puts Nas like number 3 or something, right? Like Yogg is like top 5, maybe top 6. They're still very high, but to a player who is just starting out with Battlegrounds, or just starting to take it seriously, or just not putting it all together, like those are your number 1 and number 2, because they're so easy to play, and all the skills you learn from them are applicable to a wide variety of hero pools. Even if most of the other heroes are not like the top heroes, there's still stuff you can pick and improve on. So yeah, so when I wrote my guide on Reddit, like I had a question just because I know people are going to ask that. And they're like, what heroes do you play? And I'm just like, whatever's easiest. Just, like you could pick other stuff along the way, but definitely at like 5K, 6K, like I think what Victor said was right on. Like, pick the normal ones.
Yeah. I think that's really good advice. I think the thing that really helps people go from just being very confused at the current MMR to just getting it and then shooting up like 1,000 or 2,000 MMR is this idea of breaking things down into fundamentals. And this is like regardless of your game mode, whether it's arena, constructed, BGs. It's something that I super focused on in my like arena video guide that I made, which is um, don't see the Yeti as a Yeti, right? Once again, like see past the card. So like Victor, for example, I think a lot of people when they're like stuck at 5K, when they're stuck at 7K, especially, they just get overwhelmed. They're like, there's so many decisions, and they're like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, do I buy the security rover? Yes or no? Do I buy the security rover? Yes or no? I don't know. Security rover, yes or no? And they keep on asking security rover, yes or no. Meanwhile, the questions that they should be asking themselves is, okay, what is this security rover? What does it represent? It represents tempo now. What turn is it, right? Oh, I'm on 8 gold. So Security Rover is really good, even non upgraded. Does it fit with my composition? Yes or no? It's like, well, obviously, if I have a Deflecto, that's great. Even if I don't have a Deflecto, maybe me spending the 3 gold right now is still advantageous. What if I have 4 dragons? What, like, it purely just represents tempo for this turn, but my dragons are puny. So, we get into this idea of like, okay, stop seeing these cards for, just saying like, okay, Security Rover, Hangry Dragon. I have no idea. Like, and start thinking, what do these represent, right? It's like, okay, let's break it down into the stats. Let's break it down into my position in the game. And I think once you start asking those questions, you just start getting less confused. Because even if you don't know the answer, right? Like, is the Security Rover good or bad? If you at least start asking the question, is tempo in the form of Security Rover good or bad? At least you're asking the right questions. I think that's important. And I think that is the biggest disconnect between players such as like yourself, in which is like when you see that security rover, like and I totally want your opinion on this because I very much believe in this
Mm-hmm.
process. Like you don't see the security rover, right? Whenever you see the razor gore, whenever you see the Calgos, like you don't see the Calgos as like just the Calgos. You see it as a scaling machine, and
Yeah.
your immediate thought is like, how fast is the scaling? How good is the scaling? Like,
But
everything relates to
that
that.
come with time. You're talking about
Yes.
the game knowledge about a
Mhm.
certain card. You see the potential of the card, how much value / tempo does the card embody, right? But there's just no way for a 5K player to know that. The best way that they can improve on this is by playing more. I think for
True.
5K player right now, the most important things is to get their early games right, right?
Mm.
On a coin turn, what do? You roll twice by 2 or you sell 1 by 3. Like, I don't think they understand this fundamental of the early game. If you just get good early game tempo, you should get top 4 consistently
Yep.
in the noobish lobbies,
Mhm.
right?
Not
Before
not
10 coin,
noobish, not
every
lobbies. I
single
did that all the
turn,
way through 10K. Like I think
every
if it
single
gets
turn,
you
what
farther.
do? Right? Turn 1, like the first 10 turns actually is much simpler than the late game because your decisions are
Mhm.
easier. You have less minion to choose from.
Yeah.
On tier 1, you're only choosing. Give me a second. Sorry about that. I have to clear my throat a little bit. On tier 1, you only choose among 14 minions, and it's really easy to distinguish which minion is the best out of those 14, right? It's a token. I can just tell you very simply, you always pick the token first, and then the 2, 3. And now you're done. You're set for turn 1, turn 2, and then on turn 2, you always level, right? Turn 3, always sell token by 2, and the advanced play is to sell the token or sell whatever you bought to level when the tavern is bad.
Mhm.
Like, those are the very easy decisions you can literally just write down on your notebook. From turn 1 to turn 10, what do? And just by knowing that, I think people can climb to 7K no problem. Because you get MMR, a chunk of MMR for top 4 if you're from 4K to 7K, right? So just know your early game first, I think will give you a boost. And then after 7K, after 6 to 7K, then you have to worry about more about your late game composition, because people at this point know how to win the game now. Getting a top 4, like I'm talking about above 7K, right? Getting a top 4 no longer grants you that much MMR anymore. You have to actually thinking about getting top 1 and top 2. So at that point, the deck tracker thing came in. Your positioning began to matter. Your late game skilling began to matter a lot more. What are the late game skilling? You have to identify based on your current tempo that you get from early game. Because early game, before 10 coin, all we worry about is tempo. We only want mostly, like 99% of the time, whatever is the best tempo, we're going to pick it, right? We're going to pick the Bronze Warden because it's best tempo. We're going to pick the Soul Juggler because it's best tempo. But after, turn 8, turn 9, you have to find skilling. What are the best skilling option for yourself? You have to identify that. That's not too hard either, because there's only so few skilling cards in the game. You have Caligos, you have Brand, you have Lifing, you have the Holy Mackerel. You gotta find what is the best answer. When you discover that tier 5 and tier 6 minion on your triples, know what you're looking for there. It's gonna make the difference between a top 4 or number 1, right? That's always the hardest part. Is what card do you go for? Do you go for a triple, or do you go for a leveling? That's also a very important thing. It all depends on how many pairs you have, right? The more pairs you have, stay on lower tiers, trying to find your triples first. Because if you go to tier 5, all of a sudden, those low tier triples become much harder to find, because there's only 5 minions in a tavern. And if you mix that in with a lot of tier 5 cards, it's harder to find your triple. And also leveling means that you're weaker on the board. You might die easier. So yeah, late game decision is about what is your skilling and how to find it. Those two questions should worry you after you turn 8 and 9 for a starting player. But for like a player in over 10K range, you have to start worrying about that probably on turn 7. Right? Turn 7, you already could discover Caligos or find a brand. If you start too late, you might not catch up to others, because in that MMR range, everyone know how to win, and it's all about who get to win faster than other people. But the tempo usually is not that fast, in the 6 to 7K, because I play on my Smurf. I know you could also go for some early skilling option like Aaron Sensei, Gold Mag. Those are like pretty viable strategy for lower end MMR lobby for people who just want to get a 7K and 8K faster. Yeah,
some pretty good advice. Very detailed. And I think that is like pretty important for people to recognize. And also, all the things that you described all have a subtext to it, which is like you are exactly where you belong, right? Like that's something that I think people unfortunately don't get. They're like, oh, I'm in emo hell. It's because I'm so unlucky. Like, look at Victor. Victor on his streams after every single game, like if he is on a small losing streak, one of the things that he'll always ask aloud on stream, he's like, okay, what are we doing wrong? Like, what am I doing wrong? What did I do wrong? And then you'll go back into a turn and you'll be like, that was probably suboptimal. Like, I picked up the brand, but we weren't set up for it. Or like, I got the Baron, but the transition was a little bit awkward. I only had one spawn or something like that.
It is important to look at your results very objectively. It's super easy to get results oriented in this game. In order to know what is right, you have to like also ask other people's opinion or watch streams. If you just think about your own game like every time, that's not gonna help too much either, because you always have your own beliefs, right? Your own beliefs might not be right. For example, if I picked a brand but I didn't get a single buffer, oh man, maybe I shouldn't pick that brand. That's not the way you want to think about it. You want to have enough game knowledge first, and then you judge on your decisions. The reason I could do this a lot because without being result oriented because I play this game so much. But for the general majority of people, this is the self reflection is still good, but it probably helps more to ask another person's opinion. Like maybe find a buddy, ask them what do you think about my play. Sometimes I ask my chat too, what do you think goes wrong, right? Because your own opinion doesn't always help you sometimes. Just like people always believe they are unlucky, but they don't know that they're stuck in their own box. They can't get off this box they created for themselves. They have certain beliefs that a certain card is strong, but they have no proof. It's just that they always do it. It becomes a habit. They
Like
cannot get
Harvest
out of this
Golem.
habit.
But that is
Yeah.
objectively the best tier 2 card.
Victor, I'm sorry. There's a Harvest Golem like Illuminati conspiracy going on this channel by ADWCTA. So that it's if you don't
That's
understand,
a pretty good tier 2 card.
Don't do this, Victor.
Confirmed. Victor backs up the Harvest Golem.
Don't do this, Victor. All right.
I never claimed it was the
I'm
best
not
tier 2
disagreeing with
card,
you. Like,
but
being
it's
able
one
to
of the top cards.
Look at your game after you finish the game is a good habit.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Just that don't rely too much on this habit. Also, like ask other people's opinion, because whenever I'm dropping MMR, like sometimes I play with Collins, right?
Mhm.
And then I just realized there's so much more possibilities to this game that I wasn't even considering. If I watch another stream, I just begin to realize, oh, I could do things like this. I'm a great player, but hey, this other great player have so many more different great players. This game has so much depth into it. You can always improve. There's never a cap. I don't think like even the AI cannot play this game perfectly because there's so much probabilities that lie in front of you that is unknown that can affect your current decision, right?
That's
Like
true.
it's like a branching path. You start from one point, like the Murloc Tidehunter, but you can expand into all kind of different compositions. But what is the best one? We don't know. But what are the better ones? You can know. And then you want to make your decisions that lead to those better results. And the only way to know it is to watch streams and play a lot and a lot.
Play a lot. That is really Victor's advice.
Honestly,
Like,
this game, who plays more, who wins. It's about game knowledge. I'm not talking about the MMR system is rigged. The more you play, the higher MMR you get. The more you play, the higher MMR you get. It's true. It's because you get more game knowledge. You have more failure. You can self-reflect more. It will encourage you more because, oh my god, I play so much and I still lose. I suck. It will motivate you more. Like, the more you play, the better you get at this game. That's it.
I mean,
it's important.
What other answer would you expect from the person who spammed Arena the most?
Literally confirmed by Blizzard.
Most persistent Arena player. No, that's definitely.
I'm basically saying if you're playing this game like 1 hour a day, you want to be 13K or 14K? No way.
Yeah.
There's no way.
No,
this game. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just not possible. Even just the MMR system will allow you to. But yeah,
and people really shouldn't be frustrated if they're AK if they're playing only like 5 hours a week. It's great. You're doing great.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's setting a correct expectation of yourself.
Yeah, definitely.
So I want to pivot. Are we done with like Battleground meta related questions?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I want to pivot. This is a question I've had since like the very first question, the very first like description of how Victor moved into Battlegrounds, which is what was the arena meta that was so bad that drove you to play constructed? This has been on my mind since the beginning of this podcast.
What was the arena meta?
Yeah, you said it was around like September or October. Yeah.
I can't remember, honestly.
Was this right? Okay, was this before or after they got rid of buckets?
It was around October time.
Okay, so this was right when they got rid of buckets, because they got rid of buckets in like September through to October. October, I think, was the month where November was the month where there was no classic cards. Maybe that was October too.
You know what? It was like I think I gave up Arena because they keep on delaying unleashing this Arena leaderboard thing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they were
Because I
doing that
played
during
like
that time
a
too.
very high average for a month, and then I waited 2 months. There's no Arena leaderboard, so I was like, "There's no point playing anymore. No one know I'm playing. I don't even know myself. Like this is pointless, kind of." And then I decided to switch to standard and see how well I can do over there. I think it has something to do with the leaderboard. I remember.
Yeah. Okay. So it was.
That makes
So I'm looking at chat right now. So during October, it was dual classes. There were no classic cards, and at that point, the leaderboard had not been released for more than 2 months since the previous
Yeah.
leaderboard. So yeah,
Yeah,
that was
makes sense.
probably the worst arena meta of all time.
That's a fiesta.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was just weird. Like classes didn't play like you thought that they would play because
Oh yeah, there was a Winter Veil thing, and then Dual Class came out. I really didn't want to play the Dual Class with no leaderboard. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just like a complete. Some people find it fun, but for someone who wants to be competitive as well, it's
Mhm.
just like it's. And the worst part about it is any skill you pick up during that event, it's not transferable,
Yeah.
right? Really, it's like, oh, I'm really good with no classic cards and dual classes. It's like,
Mhm.
whoa, yikes, man! You're not learning a lot of lessons that you can transfer to other arena metas.
Mhm.
So
Like a Tavern Brawl kind of thing.
Yeah.
it's exactly like
a
Tavern
really
Brawl.
long Tavern Brawl.
really,
really,
Tavern
really
Brawl.
long. And okay, so following on that, I think because a lot of listeners of this podcast are like arena players, like we all are/were. What skills would you say from arena translates the most into battlegrounds, and what are the skills that you had to pick up that were very battleground specific that you don't see in arena or even in arena plus constructed?
The number one transferable skill is definitely the drafting. This is something that the constructed player probably don't have. Because arena you have to build your own deck, right? 30
Mhm.
cards. It's pretty similar to battlegrounds that you have to build your own 7 minion team. You are more selective to things, usually. You
Yeah.
have to know what's in the pool and what is better than the others, right?
Mhm.
When I was playing arena, there was a card ranking, right, done by you and Awata. I mean Merps and Awata. I'm looking at Merps webcam right
Of course you
now.
are.
Yeah, done by me
course
and me,
you
of
are.
course.
You guys did this tier list, and we follow the tier list to pick the cards. And battlegrounds is the same thing. There's not a strictly tier list of minions, but we have to judge it based on our experience. There's like 17 on tier 1, 16 on tier 2. Like, what are the better ones, right? What do we want to draft every game with different heroes, right? For different heroes, you want to draft different cards. Like for Pyramid, you want Micro Machine, it's the tier 1. For AFK, the token is Glorious, it's tier 1. Like, you want to know what is the best,
Yeah.
so you have a direction to go. I think that's a transferable skill. What is not transferable? I mean, definitely the trading skills. There's no more trade anymore. Also, the positioning, I guess, arena, there's not a lot of positioning that matters, which create a
Oh, don't
bad
say
habit.
that. Oh no, don't say that.
Maybe there's some positioning that or matters, but it doesn't matter as much as battleground.
It's not worth the rope time to
If you
think
play
about.
too much, like me, if you play too much arena already, you're like, whatever, I'll just put this minion here, right? But if you come from an auto chess background
Yeah.
where positioning matters a lot, that will always come across your mind as a first thing. For me, it's not a first thing, and then people who come to my stream like very early on when I started streaming, they like to criticize me. Your play is great. You always pick the right comp, but your positioning sucks. Right? I still remember that New Ability said that one time in my stream. Yeah. So
I think you make a really interesting point, and it's something that you echoed on stream last night as well. So for Arena, it's we all know that like, okay, look, if you are able to draft double Flame Strike, double Twin Tyrant, double Polymorph, Fireball,
Mhm.
whatever, anyone can take that to 12. Like
yes.
everyone is taking that to 12, right? The real skill in the arena is when you're offered nothing and an average player will only get 2 wins, but you get
Mhm.
5 or 6 wins, right?
Mhm.
That's where the
Yes.
real skill comes from. And same thing for battlegrounds, because both limited formats, right? Like sometimes sometimes the draft and the RNG and arena just doesn't want you to win. It's not they don't want you to win. There's no way you're getting 12, right? And
Mhm.
sometimes Bob just screws you over, right? Like Bob completely screws you over. The fights don't go your way. He only gives you mecha ruse.
Whoa, is Bob responsible for the fights too?
I
I've never
don't
thought
know.
about it that way.
He seems to get out of the way, but I have no idea. I don't want to start any conspiracies here. He seems to leave when the
I
battle
always
starts.
believe Bob is in control of
He's
everything.
like a
It's all
puppeteer,
Bob's
just like
fault.
I know. But no, it's the same thing. Like you were saying this on stream. It's like, okay, like if you just get the spawns into the triples, into the Caligos, like on 8 on 8 or 9 gold, everyone gets first in that lobby. Like it doesn't matter if the game just plays itself. It's when
Exactly.
it's when you only are getting the mecha ruse and the homunculuses. That's when you have to like be like, okay, well, maybe some other player just gets 8th place, but Victor gets 5th place, and that's like the cap, right? Like,
Merps get first.
oh yeah, of course. I mean, that's a subtext to it. I didn't say it, Victor did. Okay. No, but like that's where the real skill is, right? And this in constructed, there's not that like you either win or you lose, and you micromanage
Mhm.
it like. But there's not that limited format, and there's not this sort of aspect of kind of like placements within a contained set,
Mhm.
right? It's like you have you either go 12 or you go 7, you go 5, whatever, and you have these contained sets. And here in BGs, it's a lobby. You can go 8th, you can go whatever. And I think that is, for me personally, that's what transfers over. I'm like,
Yeah.
so it really goes to this philosophy that you've said so many times on your stream. It's like because you high rolled into a Caligos and then you immediately tell your chat, it's like, do you guys like this? It's like, even you, 4K chat. I think this is your exact point. Even you, 4K chat.
I believe I said 5K, but
Oh, sorry.
4K is okay.
I was about to say, wow, Victor with that diss, 4K chat.
Okay, that's true. Right. They're watching your stream, so they're smarter than the average BG player.
The way I look at it is like this: every single decision on your battlegrounds equals to MMR, basically.
Yep.
The only time when it doesn't matter is that you misplay and get the first place.
Yep.
That's the only time it doesn't matter.
Sure.
If you make a mistake, and you lose a placement, even though you could still get the 3rd place and get 20 MMR or 30 MMR, but you still lost 40 MMR you could have gotten on 2nd place. You can't look at things like, one thing that people is mistaken by is that I get a top 4, I win. No, you don't win. You make a mistake, you lose. You only win if you play the game perfectly. And you could win if you get a 7th place. It's possible. If Bob just want to screw you over, but you make every decision correctly, and then you got a 7th place, you save yourself 40 MMR that you could have lost if you make like a couple of mistakes you get from 8th place. That's a plus 40. It's actually a plus 40 at the end of the day. You actually win a lot of MMR there. Yeah, I never let myself lose. Like if I get a 2nd place, I always aim for that 1st place. This is what I feel when I started the game, right? When I just started the game, I feel like my job is to get into top 4, and then I'm done. I'm chilling. I got a good result. I got points. I'm happy, right? That's a bad way to think about it if you're trying to climb. You always want to maximize your profit when you get offered good stuff. You want to minimize your loss, which is, also getting profit when you're having bad luck, right? Don't get disappointed by the result. The result, does it matter? No, it doesn't. You want to get that one placement higher. That's what you aim for when you play the game, when you're trying to climb. Think about every turn. Don't think about your placement after the game, right? The placement when the game is over, you cannot control it. It's done. But what you can control is your next fight. Can you have a higher percentage to win next fight, right? Can you squeeze out a 6th place instead of a 7th place? Those are the things you need to worry about. What is your expectation right now with the things that you're offered? Maybe you're offered trash. Your expectation is 8th, so I should be going for 7th. My expectation with an average comp, maybe Divine Shield comp, is 3rd. Maybe I'm trying to squeeze out a 2nd. And how can I achieve that? You want to be constantly thinking about these things. That's the way to grind out MMR.
Yeah,
but it's really hard to control, because if you get unlucky, if I get unlucky, I got 8th place. I feel really bad about myself, right? Even though I do everything correctly, I can still get a 7th place, and then I feel really bad about myself. That's just human nature, but that's the thing we're trying to conquer here, for us to climb. You gotta look at things logically, objectively, instead of being result oriented in any ways.
Yeah, see, I think there's two very different skill sets in Battlegrounds for the in terms of how to raise the MMR. Because one is what we were talking about, which is making sure you don't get 8th or 7th if possible, trying to make sure when you get dealt a bad hand that you're still getting around 5th, which is still losing, but you mitigate your damages a lot. And that's the same as if you get 1st instead of 2nd or 2nd instead of 3rd in the climb. But for the actual skills that you're putting in, the skills to mitigate and the skills to take advantage of a good roll or to recognize an opportunity and to pursue it are two very different things. Because I feel like I have the first part down very well. And that's how I got to 10K. I just focused on that. And I knew that I was giving up a lot of MMR. And the difference between 1st and 2nd, between 2nd and 3rd. But I also knew that that was much harder, at least for me. And so I'm in the process right now of, because I hit 10K MMR, I'm now losing it's now on average -5 or -7 for me to get 4.5th. Which means, you need to go with a more aggressive strategy, or else you literally can't climb anymore. And so I'm focusing more on the top end, and it's a totally different ballgame. You're working with 10 mana, you're dealing with tier 5, tier 6 stuff, you need to figure out when you can set yourself up to scale, how to scale best. It's not... it's a lot more decision making.
And also you're usually at a lower HP at that stage of the game. That means every single risky move you make for scaling can mean you're dead.
Yeah, exactly.
You have to make very precise judgments on how strong your opponent is compared to you.
Yeah, so I think
it's really hard for me too.
Yeah, it's just I think it's maybe even objectively, but at least to me, it's much harder than trying to make sure you take a bad hand and you don't fall to the very bottom and you mitigate your MMR loss. So they're worth equal amounts of MMR, but at a certain point, I would if you're in 5K, 6K, 7K, even 8K MMR, I would urge you to master the mitigation part first, because it's just easier, and then work on the top end part. I have questionable ability to make a comp later on and do stuff with it. Merp sees it all the time, and I hit 10K in 220 something hours, which is a respectable amount of time to hit 10K. Just kind of putting that aside and saying, look, whenever I'm in that situation, I'm gonna try, right, and do my best, right? I do my micro adjustments, put in this minion or that minion later on. But for the most part, I'm just trying to mitigate. I'm 3rd, and I'm trying to mitigate and get to 2nd rather than try to set up my comp. So it's you need both parts of it to be the best player. You are giving up MMR every time you don't take advantage, but it's so much harder. That's what Victor's working on now, right? With the whole Khadgar and brand strategy. That's tippy top, super hard to do. definitely the right move, especially if the Chinese meta has like nearly fully moved to there. But that's like an extreme version of like stuff that I would love to do if
Taking
I could.
opportunity.
Yeah, like I definitely can't do it right now. I think for that I'm actually physically limited from ever doing, so I'm not even trying. But for a lot of the other stuff, even at the end, it's just harder, and you gotta work for it. You have to find, yeah, the closer you get to being able to do what players like Victor does, the better. But for climbing, you can focus on different stuff at different times of your learning curve.
Yes, absolutely. The lower MMR you are, the more you want to focus on your own fundamentals. The higher MMR you are, the more you want to focus on your opponent and how to react to them properly. Especially in a late game situation, because you will get into more late game situations as your MMR grow higher, right? Because you need to win a lot to get high MMR, and then to get high MMR, you need to be in top 4 more often than not. So you have to be able to deal with the top 4 situations a lot. And also the one thing that I realize is really important for the higher MMR player, I'm just addressing like the leaderboard level, right? Top 200 probably, is that to know every single opponent, what's their strength, to keep track, to know the game flow, right? To know what it takes to get which placement. For example, I have a full divine shield, right? Composition pretty common. Double deflectobot, double dragonoid, 1 boulevard, and a taunt. Right now, I'm in top 4, and we're facing some soul juggler guys, right? We can just buy a brand. We can get a lot of HP on our max, or maybe not max, but maybe we can do a brand menagerie and we can win that lobby. But when you're facing like Hyro Dragon, Hyro Murloc, now your goals suddenly shift. You are no longer capable of winning this game. And here's the point I need to think about. Okay, how do I mitigate? How do I right now my expectation is a 4th place. How do I mitigate damage to take a 3rd place? I'm just gonna play for tempo every turn, and hopefully that dragon person kill the Murloc person. So that's the thing you want to think about. Like, are you capable to win? First of all, right? If you're not capable to win, always play for tempo. If you're capable to win, how risky is it? What is my next opponent? Is my next opponent going to do a lot of damage? Is he dragon comp? Is he Caligo's dragon? If that is the case, I'll play very safe. I'll try my best to play for tempo to kill his Caligos so I don't die. But if my opponent, it's a soul juggler comp, I still have 20 something HP, then I'm gonna play greedy. I'm gonna get a brand Khadgar, or I'm gonna do something special. I'm rolling for like a strong shell, build a lot of stats, right? I can possibly win this game. It's about what your opponent have and what you have, and what is your chance to win this game. You have to know it to make the proper decision in the late game, really. Because in the late game, it's really not about yourself. It's all about your composition type against your opponent composition type. And can you ever beat it? If you can ever beat it, what's your risk? Is it worth it to try to beat it? That's the question that I'm constantly like asking myself on top 4 situations.
I think that is so similar to the arena in terms of making reads, calculated, specific reads on your opponent's hand. I think that's like the last part of arena play, right? Where like I have been tracking a card in their hand for the past 4 turns, and because I have cut out every single situation, I know it's not a hard removal. I know it's not or like at least I know it's not a hard removal that is less than 6 mana, right? It's not like a board clear, or at least it's not a board clear that can deal 5 damage with less than like 5 mana or something like that. You systematically do that, and then at that point you pretty much know what card it is. Like you don't know exactly what card it is, but you know what card it is, right? And Victor, I know like when you spammed arena, this is the same thing. It's like, and this is the last thing where for any game mode, and I think for arena, it's like getting those exact reads or just knowing what makes your opponent the most uncomfortable, or what like that is the last thing where like at the tippy top level of arena play, the analogy is making reads and then playing your opponent. Like obviously you want to play your cards and everything, but in order to go from like a top 100 or top 50 leaderboard arena player to the top one player, it's like
Yeah.
this is what you have to do.
The reads also, I really like Blizzard's update on Battlegrounds, which will give you an idea what minion type your opponent's running. In the late game, this can be especially helpful. Like a Dragon 6 is very different from a Dragon 5, because a Dragon 5 usually has an Adina. You want to play a 1-1 Divine Shield to play around his Nadina, where Dragon 6 is usually 6 dragons with Caligos plus a Battle Cry. Like, these things matters a lot. If you can just block that one Nadina that is not taunted, and you can probably kill your dragon opponent, and that's 40 MMR right there, just based on that one read. Or it could be more than that. You know, if your opponent have Murloc too, you know he probably have Holy Mackerel, and you buy that Ghoul, and then the Ghoul burn down all his Divine Shield and isolating his Holy Mackerel that probably doesn't even have poison yet, you'll probably just win that fight. And there's 40 MMR right there for you. So making small reads like that in a top 4 situation can improve your MMR dramatically in the higher end lobbies.
Yep. So yeah, I like this. I like. Well, this is part of the reason why I like BGs. Because there are so many parallels. Because when you get down to it, it's like I don't like constructed because it's not unlimited format. BGs, it's unlimited format. It's a faster, more chaotic, in some ways, limited format. But it's a limited format, just like Arena. So I think there is so much transferability, and it's part of the reason, Victor, like we wanted you on as well. Like I think there's so many lessons here. You've been at the very top of the Arena game, and now you've been at the top of the BG game. So for us, in which we play both modes, we focus on both modes as well. You're kind of like the perfect player to like tie all of this together, because this is something that we think about a lot. This is really cool stuff we got going on here.
Yeah, both Arena and Battlegrounds are really fun. I
Yeah.
spent my whole youth life on it. Of course, I played some Dota before that, but I was a small kid back then.
Yeah. Now you're to big boy territory.
Now when you're a kid, you like to do physical stuff. Now we do the mental warfare.
Oh my gosh. All right. So are we going to talk about Arena a little bit?
Yeah.
Oh,
let's talk about it.
Right.
We have not completely new meta. We got a patch. The micro adjust patch came in, I think, Thursday. Not this last Thursday, but Thursday before that. Played a few runs since then. I'm just gonna go over this really quickly. What's happened to the meta since the last Lightforge, and we'll dig really deep into it next Lightforge. Because right now we're in kind of a weird place where Warrior has 55% win rate. It's gotten pretty ridiculous because last time we checked in was on last Sunday, and that was already like 3 days into the micro adjust, and Warriors were not even number one. Like Shamans were number one, Warriors were like number 3 or 4 or something at that point. Now Warriors are a commanding number one at 55 point something percent. Demon Hunters, you knew not to play them. We told you not to play them. Keep not playing them, and everyone else is kind of balanced. So ignoring what's happening with Warrior and the Imprisoned Gnarg is really what's happening with Warrior.
Most common card in their deck, by the way.
Pure ridiculousness, and especially like it just swings the game so much. But the important thing to know is that you now have to be Warriors on top of the other stuff. And Warriors have kind of taken over the Demon Hunter role in putting pressure. It doesn't put as much pressure as the Demon Hunter, but it puts more pressure than the other classes. So that brief period of the few days between the micro adjust happened and the Lightforge podcast where everyone was going really slow and you kind of needed some curve, but it was okay not to, that's gone. You need curve now, especially if you have a deck that you think is good and you want to go higher. You definitely need a curve just to survive the Warriors. You also need the ability to take over the board when you need to take over the board, like, and win it back, which is not something that pure tempo can do. So you still have to play that card advantage, swingy style that we've been encouraging for the whole time. But now curve is important again, rather than being less important. And on top of all of that, taunts are really important because in every single meta, it's the same story. If warriors are strong, nothing screws over warriors more than taunts. So that's their weakness with all the weapons. And their best card right now is a weapon, right? And Prison Gennarg is basically a weapon with a 2/2 body attached to it that did not at all have to be attached to it. So yeah, that's the big picture strategy.
Yeah, 3 of their top 5 cards are weapons. It's Imprison Gennarg, it's Arcanite Reaper, and it's Arathi Weaponsmith.
Yeah.
They are very tempo oriented. So you need to, look, you can still have the value cards, but you got to have at least some tempo. Like this week, I finished up a mage deck. Yes, I played a tiny bit of Arena. All right. I finished up a mage deck that I drafted like last week. It had what you expect from mage decks in that it had all the value, like the real meaty stuff, right? I had my I had a triple ravens, I had my flame strike, and I had a couple of generating cards in the arcane breaths with not a lot of dragons, but I just held on to it. The important thing is just like, okay, those ravens aren't just good for generating value. They are a thing that I can drop on 3. But what really saved me were, like the arcane amplifier and just playing it on 3 as a body and Razorfen Hunter. Like, I'm not saying that like won me that many games, but I certainly could have lost a game if not for that in like 2 of my games and just dropping 2/3 with a 1/1. Because in order to beat these classes and in order to at least put some pressure, in order for my late game cards to matter, I have to make sure I'm not at like 5 HP by 7 mana, right? So that's really the important thing. It's like, okay, well, I need to make sure that whatever I discover out of the Messenger Raven, I can play without just dying immediately. Like I would love to have that Antonitis pop off. I would love to have all of these crazy combos. I'd like to do the evocation into the box and have time to play the box. Victor, this probably means nothing to you. Thank you for sitting through this. There will be a quiz at the end, okay? So you better be prepared.
Oh, okay. Didn't expect that. I'll start listening now.
But yeah, like so this is last week I talked about the importance of an Ironfur Grizzly. Same thing with the Razorfen Hunter. Is it a good card? No, it sucks. It really sucks. In a Twin Tyrant in Prison Gennarg meta, right? Like very polarized. You would think that potentially there is no room for something that is as mediocre as a Razorfen Hunter. And I'm not saying it's good, but I'm saying this sort of card, 1 or 2 in the deck, is very necessary to make sure that you can get to those Twin Tyrants that we all know and love, and we all love spamming.
Yep. So this is where the meta's shifting. Arcanite Reaper is not usually, like even when Warrior's strong, Arcanite Reaper is one of the best Warrior cards, but it's never number 2. We always rate it really close to number 2 because we think it's a ridiculous card. But the HS replay win rates certainly don't point that way. I can't remember the last meta that it did that. So that's how important having that swing and flexibility is for this meta, if you're playing the Warrior. And if you're another class that can sort of approximate it, like a mage that can be a little aggressive, like that's a good strategy. You won't get that every draft or even most drafts, but if your draft is starting to lean in a way that it can go long into the long game with card advantage, but can also swing and then hit face, that's really, that makes a special deck. Those are your like easier 12-win candidates in this meta.
Yep.
So Victor, have you played Arena at all since Descent of Dragons came
out?
Does
Descent of Dragons mean anything to you?
Does Twin Tyrant
I'm sorry, but no.
Conjure hatred in your body and make you tense up like you're about to get a shot in your arm?
I don't think so.
Wow.
I don't think
no.
This is
what a life, Victor. What an alternate universe.
Well, I saw Collins dip his toes back into the arena a little bit. I don't know if he.
Yeah, I saw you play a run. Yeah.
Yeah, and then he co-ops with Dreads a little bit as well. Um, I mean, look, you seem to be doing pretty good with Battlegrounds, so I can completely understand. And I think part of it is also just like getting outside of the actual game, right? And the strategies and the complexities. Blizzard definitely seems to be putting a lot of support to Battlegrounds, right? And that is very attractive. You know, like
Mm-hmm.
we definitely want to be where Blizzard is seemingly throwing more of their resources into. So, Victor, let me ask you, what would it take to get you back into the arena potentially?
Even part
If
time.
even part time, if at all.
Mhm.
And if the answer is nothing,
Yeah,
I mean,
that's totally
that's
a great
fine.
answer.
But I
Will
am
get me
very
back to
curious.
play
Yes.
arena.
Mhm. I'm very curious.
Um,
It seems like it's nothing.
I just don't have. I probably don't have time right now for arena.
No, that's
Yeah,
fair.
yeah,
Especially grinding
it's-
so hard on Battlegrounds. Maybe when Battlegrounds start to get boring a little bit, I can mix in a run or two. But I think Battleground will be my focus for the most part.
I think that makes a lot of sense. I mean,
I'm really scared as well because the stream is going well. If I go back to arena and somehow, you know, and like arena, and then I wanted to play more, I don't know what the future will lead. It's a little risky, so I'm gonna just do what I do right now. But I still love arena in my heart. It did a lot for me. I streamed arena for 2 years. That's more than I streamed battlegrounds. Right, I only streamed battlegrounds for 5 months. Maybe battleground is a new thing for me. I'm a little bit more excited about it.
Yeah.
But as the time goes, who knows what will happen, right?
you are literally talking about arena like it's one of your exes. It's like, yes, I still respect her. I still feel this for her. She was great for that time, but I've moved on. I'm actually afraid of being exposed to her again. It was a little bit toxic. I'm afraid I'll end up back with her, and that's not healthy. Yeah, exactly it, right? That's exactly
feeling. That's the same feeling. I know I probably like arena again. You know, I'm not gonna lie. I probably will like arena again. It must be fun after the dual class is over, but I just can't touch it right now.
Totally understandable. So does anyone? And that's just me asking because I don't remember or know. But do we know? Like, does the public know when the next BG update is? Have they like talked about it? Because we're now like almost a whole month out from Ashes of Outlands, right? So this should be when like a serious BG update hits, like around now. We've been in this meta in BGs for like 3 weeks now or something. Like,
well, so by serious update, you mean like introducing the dragons big, like
maybe not that big, but at least like moving a couple of minions around or adding new minions in addition to like changing one hero, right? Like,
yeah, I will say that like the nerf to Millhouse changed the meta more than a lot of other seemingly bigger updates, right? Yeah. Just getting rid of Mill, like we're talking about how.
But that's because Millhouse was like the problem. I don't think they can do that again, except unless it's like in a negative way.
Is the problem.
Yeah,
is Rafam a problem?
Every lobby now.
Okay.
Well, so Rafam is good, but like, would you agree that Millhouse was more
Rafam
oppressive?
is pretty oppressive right now, to be honest.
So like, you think that they just like remove Rafam from the game, do you think the meta would shift in a way that was even like half as much?
Because it's such a fun hero. The hero power is great, but maybe just adding a couple more power heroes into the mix. Just maybe get a brand bag or something like that. Would be fun.
Oh, Bran, that was like kind of
also
a
couple of minions need to be reworked. If I feel like.
What's number one on your list of minion that needs to be reworked besides Khadgar?
Probably.
Okay, number two then. Number two.
Maybe Holy Macro, because Holy Macro feels a little bit annoying right now. Because most of the game I win with, it involves 2 Holy Macro.
Yeah,
and a bunch of divine shields.
I'm curious. Yeah, I'm very curious because this is something I think is people are kind of torn on. Like I have been thinking as well. Like Holy Mackerel, it's a little bit too powerful for very little investment into it,
You know, it's a great minion. It's so
Yeah.
innovative, but just maybe remove the Murloc text on it. I don't know.
Or
Because the Murloc
I-
text allowed the Khadgar Murloc transition to be like so powerful, turn it into Exodia. Maybe make the Holy Macro a neutral minion or something.
or how about this change? This is a change I've always thought about. It's exactly the same. It still has the Murloc tag, but it doesn't get Divine Shield back if it's another Holy Mackerel that loses Divine Shield.
That make it a little bit too complex.
Yeah, a little too wordy to put onto.
Well, no, you would just change the wording to like whatever it is, and then you add except Holy Mackerel at the end, right?
They
Something
cannot
like that.
refresh each other.
Yeah, they can't refresh each other. I think that it might, we're stepping in the like right direction at least, because it definitely, you can still have that Exodia comp of like one taunted mackerel, and then you have 6 lined up to just ping pong. So you can still have that, but you don't have the sort of like mackerels just like refreshing each other kind of thing. So which it doesn't solve all of the problems of making it like extraordinarily powerful, but does dampen it a little bit. That's something I'd like to see personally.
Yeah, it's really hard to rework this card because
Yeah.
it's such a good card. If you remove it, everyone will miss it. And this card, the problem is that now we have Bob's body, right? I see a lot of the percentage of the fights. The Holy Mackerel, like if you have 2 of them against a very strong composition, you always have like that 25 percentage. Even though if your Holy Mackerel only have 4 HP, you always have that 20 to 25%. It makes things very polarized, right? Like the other person could have double Nadina, Golden Caligos, and still lose to your Holy Mackerel if you just have the perfect RNG. It make the game a little bit more RNG based.
And of course it deals 6 damage by itself. So, when it wins, it hits hard too. Like it's further compounded by that. Yeah, I think it's interesting because it is something that I personally wouldn't mind some sort of change. I think currently in its state, it is a little bit too, like you said, polarized.
I think nerfing Khadgar is better. Just removing the possibility of the Khadgar brain to double macro, and then no one can beat it anymore. I think doing something to Khadgar is better. Just so that I don't need to like I'm saying this because I don't want to practice Brand Khadgar and sacrifice 2000 MMR again, because that was my plan for the day. I really hope Blizzard can just announce something to nerf this so I don't need to do it.
I think Blizzard will do that eventually if that strategy remains at all popular. Just because that's like you're talking about, right? It's
interactive,
like, yeah, it's not interactive. It's not what Battlegrounds is about. Blizzard doesn't want people to like think that that's what Battlegrounds is about.
It's a strategy game. It's not about how fast you can click.
Right. And you want to like Blizzard's been doing what they can to make it less of an APM game. Like from the beginning to now, like the only reason I'm not stuck at a much lower MMR is because Blizzard had made those changes. And like this could be just a top level player thing, but even if it pervades the top level, it's a bad look, right? You go to all the streams, people are excited to see Brand Khadgar, but then they're like, what am I playing? Right? Like, can I copy this exactly? Like, can I pull it off?
Yeah, no, that's definitely one of those skills where even if you have some pretty good players try to pull it off, they can fail epically. Like I still suck at it,
and it's super tilting when you fail at it.
Oh my god, yes.
Like, this other player, it all works in his hand. Am I a worse player? Am I less capable? I can't do this. It feels awful. It makes people feel awful.
Well, but it doesn't feel awful if you just accept that the answer is yes. I have long ago accepted that yes, I am just a worse player when it comes to that.
I'm almost accepting it because I dropped 2000 MMR. I'm still not good at it.
The worst part of this is that like when you fail with it, you still have to show your board to the next player, and they see it, and they can
Oh no,
like.
you can just sell your board. You don't have to show it.
Well, you can, but it's like that feeling when you were in school, and then it's like you know, you just forgot to do the project, and then you put something together last minute, and it sucks, but you still have to go back to the class.
And you know your opponent is so happy that you failed, right? The guy's probably laughing out loud in front of the computer. I can always imagine someone laughing out loud when they're looking at my board. I mean, even my opponent doesn't look at it. There's like 1,000 people in stream that can see it. I just feel super ashamed by it every time I fail. I just want to hide in the corner.
Oh God.
Oh, God.
Of course, that creates
giving
some
so much torture. Please delete.
good moments. Oh man. All right. This is so Adwcta, did you have any more arena related questions?
No, that's it. We'll dig in deeper next week to arena. Maybe there'll be an announcement at least of what's coming up next for Battlegrounds, because
Who
like
knows?
the
Yeah.
brand nerf was a long time coming. Really, I'm surprised it took so long to nerf brand.
You mean Millhouse? Millhouse?
Sorry, Millhouse. Yeah. Oh, I'm thinking about nerfing brand too. But yeah, nerfing Millhouse was a long way coming. So I think the next big announcement is going to be in Battlegrounds, whereas the arena meta is going to be pretty settled. Although hopefully they look at the win rates and they nerf Warrior again. Although I don't know.
Yeah.
Warrior's kind of making the meta actually more interesting than less interesting, but
it's tempo. Tempo
yeah,
is always,
exactly.
you know.
But like,
cool.
what are they gonna do, right? They'll probably buff Demon Hunters again and nerf Warriors again. Whenever.
Well,
that
yeah,
happens.
it's like tempo is good, but imprison Gnargs on one,
Yeah.
that's not cool.
Yeah.
Like that's like super zombie chow on one, right?
Yeah.
So
Hey Victor,
yeah.
do you even know what Imprison Gnarg is as a card, or are you so into Battlegrounds?
What does it do?
Okay. Let me describe this card.
Impressed.
Okay, let me describe this card. Okay, it is 1 mana. Okay, just a 1 mana warrior card. It's common. It's a dormant card, which means it pops out into play 2 turns after you play it. So you don't get it immediately, you get it 2 turns after, and it takes a board space, but no one can interact with it, right? It doesn't get board cleared or anything. And when it pops up 2 turns later, so you play it on turn 1, and this happens on turn 3, you get a Fiery War Axe and a 2/2.
What?
The
Fiery War Axe is a tier 3. It's a
tier 3
card.
Yeah.
And you get a
So you can play a 3-mana card on turn 1, which you don't usually do anything on turn 1, right? Usually it's on turn. So you basically have a free turn 3 plus a 2/2.
Yep. And you use your Fiery War Axe on the same turn on turn 3, right? Because it has initiative, so it just pops out.
So if you face Warriors right now, this is the most common card in their
And
deck.
you were talking about Iron Grizzly and Ritter Fin Hunter was pretty good.
Yeah, well, I'm not saying they're necessary. I'm not saying they're Victor. Don't start doing this, okay? I want to have you back, but not with those lies, slander like this, okay?
The War Axe killed the 2/3 and the 2/2 trading to the 1/1. Done.
Yeah.
No,
So-
just kidding.
This is the state of arena right now. Imprison Gnargs on 1.
But that's a common card. Like a warrior probably have 3 of them in each deck, right?
Yeah, they have almost 2 per deck, according to
on average, which means when you're on like 10 wins or whatever, they'll have 3.
They'll have 3, which means they are getting it on turn 1.
Because they're hard rolling for them. And
they're hard mulliganing for it, so they're going to get it.
But the good thing is, if you have multiple copies, you can only play 1, right?
Well, you can
if you play
stagger
2,
them.
you only get a 2/2 body. You don't get a War Axe stacks.
If you play them on different turns, right, then you can use up the axe before the other axe pops up. But yeah, you can't play them all like at the same time later.
Yeah, no,
it is a little awkward.
Dual wielding, so like you coin out double Imprison
You can hold double weapon.
just
chop it down. Chop in the face.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they actually gave Garrosh innate wind fury ability with his weapons.
Really?
Yes, definitely, Victor.
Whenever you attack, you just wind fury.
Yes,
yeah,
definitely.
you just can hit as many times as you want, right? It still uses up the durability. That's why Warrior's #1 right now.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. Wait, are you kidding, right? There's no way.
Yeah, we're kidding. Oh my god.
They
I was
wouldn't
actually gonna
program
leave it
something
here.
just for the arena that was that complicated.
I was gonna leave it there, but I'm like, oh wait, Victor might literally run with this and then talk about it on stream. Be like, guys, I don't know if you've heard about this, but Arena's
Arena's crazy.
Warrior, whenever you attack your arena, you get Wind Fairy.
People will be like, wow, this guy got #1 on the arena leaderboards. These arena players have no skill. It's like they don't know anything. By the way, does it make you feel good to some extent that like the arena community is represented very well? Like you and Collins, you guys are two of the most popular and two of like, the most successful BG players, and you guys got your roots from arena. And back when BG's, it's a segment in which constructed and arena players like are mixing together, right? Like they're battling in the same sort of pool. And back then, when it was just arena and the constructed, there were quite a few people in the constructed scene, and some constructed players as well, as saying it's like, well, arena players are just players that would never cut it in constructed, like because constructed has money involved, so obviously, like
all
they
the
would never
best
cut
players are in constructed.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and it makes me feel good that like people like you and Collins, who were playing and just spamming a lot of arena, are now going into the this common sort of battlefield. You may call it battlegrounds. And look, this is not just a setup for that stupid punt, okay? And dominating, like, and just showing that, just representing the arena community well. Do you think about this at all, or is this just petty of me?
I always been thinking arena is harder than constructed. I don't know what people are thinking about. Like I play both arena and constructed. I'm pretty sure arena is harder. I go into a deeper depth because you have to build your own deck. You have to face uncertainty. I don't know why constructed can be so hard if you know exactly where opponents have 30 cards, and like I can just write it down. My opponent 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What is the most likely card? Like that's what you can count on in constructed, but in arena it's much harder because you are making more uncertain predictions. Same thing in battleground. Battleground I think is harder than constructed too, because you have to predict a lot more than just 30 cards. You have to know. You have to know more. It's not always the same 30 cards for you. It's not always the same 30 card for your opponent. You have to respond in different situations. A lot more variation, a lot more different situation. I think arena and the battlegrounds are very hard, intense game mode. They're definitely not easier than constructed.
You heard it here, guys. Victor says that all constructed players are drooling noobs. That's the takeaway. I think we can end on there.
Constructed is hard. You can play very well in constructed by keeping track of everything, but I wouldn't say it's harder than the other two game modes.
Drooling noobs. Thank you, Victor. Thank you for that. No, seriously. So, look, Victor, we've kept you here long enough. This has been awesome. Thank you so much, because we know
thank
that
you guys. It's an honor to be here.
My gosh. All right, Victor. Now is the time where you tell first, if for some reason and like someone doesn't know where to find you, doesn't know who you are, shout out everything. Like, where can they find you? Where can they get more of hot Victor action? All right.
Thank you for that. I stream on Twitch. Stream on Twitch basically every day. Twitch.tv/TwelvewinsHS. TWLEVE, by the way.
See, in case you were wondering, I did not misspell it on the Lightforge podcast. I got it right.
Yeah, TWLEVE. I misspelled when I created my account. Please don't ask me again why your name is misspelled. I don't know how to spell. English is not my first language, okay? I misspelled it.
Hey, I feel you, man.
Yeah.
All right. And on Twitter, where can they find you?
Twitter is fine. They don't need to follow right now.
Oh, okay. Never mind. That doesn't exist. That's where
I don't have that much follower. I don't really tweet anything out, so it's okay. Thank you guys.
All right, Victor, thank you so much. And to all the listeners out there, I hope you enjoyed this. We love having someone on with the unique perspective that Victor does. All right, I guess that's it.
All
A
right.
short 2-hour podcast.
Yeah. Thank you so much for being here. Until next time, this is ADWCTA.
This is Merp. See you guys.
Bye.
See you.